Prime Minister, you're here at Bushey Synagogue. You've been speaking to members of the community, hearing about their experience of anti-Semitism. What have they shared with you, and what would you leave the meeting with them thinking today?
Well, I've been at Bushey all afternoon, talking to different people about their experience. Broadly broken in, we had a group of people describing to me what was happening in their work environment, quite a variety of work environments. Then some students from different universities, giving me their experience there. Then, in fact, school children, as young as 13 through to about 17. And then to mums talking about the family experience. And it was a really important thing for me to listen and to hear what they were telling me about their experiences. It was a hard listen, because it was very distressing for them to have to explain to me, they don't know me, what has happened to them. I could see the impact, the visceral impact that it was having on them. All of the experiences were different in different environments, but all had one theme, which was anti-Semitism. And it was very important for me to hear that. They gave up their time for me to hear that, and I have undertaken to them that will be something I will mull over, take away, and see what more we can do. Obviously, there are practical measures in terms of security measures that we need to improve. We've already put more money into that. Whether it's changing laws on protests or public order, whether it's education, in health service or elsewhere. They're the practical steps and others that need to be taken. But what I was most struck by was the fact that this is a cultural issue where too many people, too many Jewish people in this country feel that somehow they've got to be hiding an identity that they're proud of because of what is happening to them. And that is intolerable. And I will work with them and others to make sure that the United Kingdom is a place where they feel safe and secure, as they have done in the past and need to in the future.
What I think a lot of people are concerned about, I think, and you spoke about this after Heaton Park about the need for security, but what people will see is they will see a very intimidating demonstration outside a synagogue in St John's Wood, allowed to go ahead, and they will see restrictions on far-right protests or on farmers' protests outside Westminster. There is a sense that there is two-tier policing when it comes to anti-Semitism. How would you respond to those claims?
I think it is important that we look at what powers the police have in relation to protests and whether the powers that are already available are being used to their full extent and appropriately and consistently, as you say. But also I think we need to be prepared to look at whether more powers are needed. I think there's a very strong feeling that repeat protests over and over again do have a cumulative impact. And so I think we need to look at both those aspects, and that's what the Home Secretary is doing.
But do you recognise that and do you agree with their impression that people might think, because of these scenes that they see in their reality, that there is two-tier policing?
Well, look, I'm not supportive of the idea that we should go down the route of two-tier policing. Our police do a difficult job in difficult circumstances, but where there may be some concerns about inconsistency, whether there are concerns about whether all the powers that are available are being used in the right way to the full extent, yes, of course, that needs to be looked at. And this question of whether further powers are needed. And that's why the Home Secretary is looking at both of those issues.
And another sort of particular concern with a specific police force, West Midlands Police, it's now been suggested by many occasions, both the Dutch police and now we've just reported the Dutch mayor disputing the figures that they have put out that they've used to justify the ban on Maccabi Tel Aviv fans, which you opposed. Do heads need to roll?
Well, I'm very concerned and troubled by what we're seeing in terms of the intelligence reporting. I think we need to get to the bottom of that, find out exactly what happened, and that's the immediate next step. I think it's not just one police force. We need to look consistently across to see what information, what intelligence is being relied on, and whether it is the right intelligence upon which serious decisions need to be taken. But I am troubled by what we're all seeing emerging in relation to this particular case.
But there seems to be a very odd picture in both Birmingham and the West Midlands. I mean, in a letter to the Home Affairs Select Committee, the Police and Crime Commissioner there seemed to attack your criticism of the ban on Maccabi fans, and he said, and I quote, that the Prime Minister's intervention significantly increased the risks associated with this fixture. What is your response to that?
I totally reject that. I think it is really important that we're clear that all fans should be able to go and see their team safely and be treated equally. And that is why I intervened, and it was important that I did intervene in this particular case.
And finally, as it's, yesterday was the budget, are British Jews better off as a result of the measures your government's brought in?
We've done a huge amount in the budget on the cost of living, and in addition to the measures we'd taken before the budget, yesterday we were able to confirm that rail fares will be capped and fixed. That's the first time in 30 years that has happened, really important for commuters. Prescription charges equally capped and fixed, but also that for all households across the country, we've taken £150 on average off their bills. So that's three of the measures yesterday in the budget. We also lifted the cap on the two-child limit in relation to benefits, and that will lift 500,000 children out of poverty. And these are children that not only growing up in poverty, but deprived of their opportunities in life. And so a really important budget in relation to fairness and the cost of living that will benefit many millions across the country.